Again, my name is Lynn Darmon. I am a medium, a psychic medium, and mediumship, I want to talk about that for a moment, what a medium is and what the purpose is to go see a medium and what that can provide, the healing it can provide. So mediumship is all about spirit connection and communication. It's nothing magical, it's nothing mystical. I always tell people it's energy. And the one thing about science and the one thing about energy that we've learned over the years, energy does not die. In fact, during the course of a session with me, people will understand that people will see that I never use the word DIE when I talk about your loved ones who have crossed over. It's the underlying purpose of all of this is to provide validation that your loved ones are with you. And the validation that it provides, they will come through with proof that it is them. They will come through with details that we couldn't possibly know. And what that provides is healing. It does provide a measure of comfort, and it provides help, with the grief process. But more than that, it provides also guidance as our loved ones are continue to be with us to help us on this part of our, during this part of our lives on Earth here. They continue to provide guidance for us. I have volume myself, but I can't see anyone, so I don't know if I'm supposed to see people. Shelley, I'm just looking at a blank screen right now. I'm not sure if that's okay. Great, thank you. So they do provide guidance. I always say that when somebody comes to see a psychic medium, very often they are interested in the mediumship portion, certainly, but they're also interested in what's coming up in their future. Everybody wants to know about future predictions, what's coming out down the pipeline. And I always like to say that everybody has free will. We all have free will. Nobody can tell you exactly what's going to happen into your future if you don't authorize it yourself. We have free will, but it doesn't mean that we don't receive guidance on a day-to-day basis. And we do receive guidance. We receive guidance from the universe. We always say, you hear people saying, oh, I got a sign, today from the universe, or I got a sign from my loved ones. I got a sign from my angels. And the signs that we receive every day, those are signs that help us to move forward, to let us know that we're on the right track, to let us know that we're moving in the right direction. Spirit connection communication started for me when I was about 4 years old. I was very, very young. And I remember the very first time that this happened to me, I was at home in bed one night, and I woke up the next morning. I felt that I had spoken to my grandfather, who lived in another country at the time. And he let me know that he had passed, and I had to let my mother know. It was her father. She hadn't seen him because he lived in Europe. But I woke up the next morning and I told my mom that I felt bad. I was crying, and I told my mother that her father had passed in the night. And of course, she wanted to reassure me, and she, kept saying, honey, you had a bad dream. It was a nightmare. It's okay. He's fine. We just got a letter from him. Certainly back in the day, we didn't have the internet like we do now. We didn't have this technology. But as I'm trying to convince her that her father passed, and she was trying to convince me that I had just had a nightmare, 1 hour later, she did receive a telegram that he had passed in the night. And that's how she found out. And as I got older and as things progressed, things got louder for me and louder, but I was always kind of told that it was my imagination, that I had a bad dream and things like that. So I put it away for a long time. I just thought that this was kind of normal. I thought everybody could do this. I thought everybody had this, ability to do this, but I decided that I wasn't going to talk about it anymore until I reached my 20s and until I had my daughter, Alexandra. And in that moment, when I had my daughter, I had a very, very bad premonition that something was going to happen to her. And so before it did, I decided that I needed to take her to a hospital and take her to the emergency room. So can you imagine a young mother, a new mom, although she was my second child, but taking a baby to the hospital saying, there's nothing wrong with my baby right now, but there's going to be, and she has to be in the hospital when it happens. Well, at that time, they watched, they kept her for 24 hours, watched her, and then they said, no, you know what, she's fine. You can take her home. I brought her home, but I decided to go into another hospital with her. And again, it was the same thing, that I was just really concerned that something was going to happen to her, and I needed to be in the hospital when it happened. Well, at that point, they decided that I needed to see a psychiatrist. And I said, that's fine, because I felt that it would just buy me more time in the hospital with her. Before the psychiatrist came in to do a psychiatric consult for me, they brought in a second, third, fourth, fifth doctor. And to make a very long story short, my daughter ended up in surgery less than an hour later with a peritonitis. She never showed any symptom. Her blood work was always fine, but it was very critical. It was very critical, and she was fine. She was fine after the surgery. But that was kind of a wake-up call for me. And I always say that we all, on our spiritual journey, we all have that moment, that aha moment, or that wake-up call, that awakening of where we are spiritually in life and what our journey is about. As I said, as far as spirit communication and spirit connection, our loved ones always want to know whether you're there to speak with the medium or not, during a session, during a reading or not. Your loved ones always want you to know that they're with you, and they will leave us signs. They do. The more you are open to signs, the more you, I always say, don't look for it, it'll happen. If you think that something is a sign, so you've received something, then please know, if it even crosses your mind that it might be a sign, please know that it is. Some of the most common signs that we receive from spirit, people talk about cardinals. We talk about cardinals, and cardinals are a big spirit totem, you know, as far as loved ones on the other side. So sometimes you might see them in pairs, a mom and dad that might come forward, a sibling that might come forward. They send us cardinals. Another one is, some of the other signs are butterflies. Feathers are huge. Spirit totems, you have whatever you connect with, whether it's the wolf spirit totem or an owl. My spirit totem is an owl. So if we receive a gift like that from a spirit totem, something in a key, I received at one time a couple of keychains. People didn't know that I liked owls, you know, and I connect to the owls, but I received a couple of owl keychains as a gift. So I knew that that was a sign for me. Also, electronics, electricity, our loved ones do play with our electricity and electronics. And Lillian, I did see that question from you. I believe it was Lillian. It just flashed on and off about dreams. Yes, and dreams are another very, very important sign from spirit. Dreams, that is the easiest way that I want to say that spirit will communicate with us. It's the easiest way that they can come to us, and I call those visitations. They're not dreams, they're visitations. And when you dream about your loved ones like that, you know that the next morning when you wake up, it just has a different texture. It's got a different feel to it. It's almost like you say, you know, they were right here with me. I know that they were here with me, and I could feel them. Sometimes you can feel your cheek being brushed, you know, with a hand, or somebody squeezing your hand. It's the easiest way for them to come through, because it's when our defenses are down, when our logical mind, our conscious mind during the day is asleep and down, and that's when the veil is the thinnest. So we don't logically explain it away. And those are very, very comforting. That's a very comforting sign when we can actually see them in a dream. Many times people don't dream about their loved ones, but it doesn't mean that your loved ones are not here for you, okay? Like I said, electricity is huge. Lights that flicker on and off. Sometimes Siri, if you're on your iPhone, and Siri might come on and say, out of the blue, say, how can I help you? You know, like that. That's happened to me a couple of times, actually. And know that that's your loved ones also. Pennies and dimes, you hear of pennies and dimes from heaven. Do hearts symbolize? Absolutely. Very often people connect to hearts. And so sometimes you'll be taking a walk, and all of a sudden you see a cloud in the sky, and it's a great big heart. And if that's what you connect with your mother, or with a father that passed, or a sibling, or your loved ones, Yes, and they will send us that. Sometimes it's a rock in the shape of a heart. It's a feather. Can dogs sense spirit? Absolutely. Animals are very, very intuitive because they're so low to the ground. Occasionally I come home from work. I have a cat here at home, and my cat will look at me, and her ears go back. She'll let out a little yell, and she'll go running away. And I just look at her and go, what did I bring home? Who came home with me? You know, things like that. So animals are very intuitive. And our fur babies also, they go to, when a fur baby, when one of our pets, yes, also smoke, Lynn, hi Lynn, smoke, fragrances also are huge. So if you smell a fragrance, a perfume or smoke or cologne, that's also their way of letting you know that they're around you. And as I was saying, and also our pets. So when our pets leave us and they cross over, they go to what I call our soul group in heaven, our loved ones. And so very often a pet will come through in a session also, and they take care of our pets until we get there. So that's also a very, very comforting thought. Very often as well, it's an interesting thing that happens to me on my end as a practitioner, as a medium. One of the things that happens often is spirit will often come through to me before I meet their loved one here. So it's almost like a reading in reverse. And I had an experience recently and they often come through early morning, actually. And I had an experience recently in which I was sleeping, and very often they wake me up. And it's nothing to be afraid of. I'm not afraid. I can sense spirit when they're around me, and it's so natural until it's over. And I went, wow, that just happened, you know, like that. They still take me by surprise. And it was a woman. It was a young woman that came forward. She identified herself as a young female. And the only thing she said to me was, the only phrase that I could catch on, and she showed me an image of a woman with tattoos on her shoulder. And the tattoos were little blue stars falling down the back of her shoulder. And that's all she said. She said she has a tattoo of little blue stars behind her left shoulder. And I sat up in bed. I wrote it down, because if I don't write it down early morning, it will leave me. I will forget. And I always trust it when I get a sign like that from spirit. Before I meet their loved ones here, I always trust that they're going to guide me to find the person here as well. Well, that particular day, like I said, you don't look for something, you just let it happen intuitively. I was working, and on a break, I suddenly decided I had an impulse to go get my nails done. So I did. I had a 2-hour break, and I thought, I think I'll go get my nails done, which is highly unusual during a work day, even if I have a break. Well, I went into the nail shop. I was getting my nails done, and it was full. There were many, many women in there. And I zeroed in on one woman, and I thought, it's her. It's her. I can just tell. I know it's her. And I orchestrated my leaving I timed it with her leaving. I wanted to talk to her outside. And it's a little bit unusual to go up to a complete stranger and say, excuse me, but, you know, but I did. I felt very, very compelled to. And I introduced myself to her outside, and I just said to her, I said, do you connect to having tattoos behind your left shoulder of little blue stars? And she looked at me funny, and she goes, what did you just say? And I went, oh my God, she's going to call the police. And I introduced myself again, and I told her, I said, I'm a medium. I'm in I'm local. I'm in the area. And I said, do you happen to have a tattoo of little blue stars behind your left shoulder? And at that point, she turned around, and she pulled down her shirt behind her left shoulder, and there were the stars. And then she looked at me, and she said, what else did she say? And on the street, right in broad daylight, in the middle of a parking lot, I did a quick, I received many more messages for this woman, and it was her daughter. And the stars were a connection. The tattoo was a connection to her daughter. And her daughter just wanted to make sure she knew that her mother knew that she was at peace and she was okay. And there were other messages that came through right in that moment. But I was just very grateful to Spirit for, offering me, number one, the opportunity and the courage, actually, to go ahead and do that, to go ahead and speak to her mom and find her. So it was very comforting. At another occasion, one night, I just couldn't sleep. Couldn't sleep at all. I tossed and turned and tossed and turned. And for some inexplicable reason, I got on eBay on my iPad and I started looking up watch fobs, for those pocket watches, those gold chains with a charm at the end. They're really quite beautiful, the antique watch fobs. And I made a whole list of watch fobs, and they're just with carnelian, and they're really, really beautiful. And I don't have a pocket watch like that. I have no interest in getting a pocket watch like that. I don't know why on this particular night, now I do, but on this particular night, I was so interested in watch fob chains. And to this day, I still get alerts from eBay on watch fob chains. But in any case, the very next day, a gentleman came to see me in my office, and his grandfather came through very, very loud and strong, very loud and clear. And the very last message that he had was, and as I do readings, also I do a lot of writing. I drew a picture of a pocket watch. And I said, you have your grandfather's pocket watch? And he said, yes, I do. And I said, what's the holdup with the watch chain? It's broken. And why haven't you gotten a new one? And he just said, oh my God. He said, I promised my grandfather I was going to. He said, I promised my grandfather I was going to, and I haven't. And I don't know where to get one. And I said, well, let me help you out. And I sent him my eBay list. So I knew that that was already, his grandfather working on me and trying to connect with me to get the message across to help his grandson complete that. So it's interesting when spirit comes forward first to let us know that they're with us, Like I said, it's really nice. Hi, Susan. Have you had signs? Yes, that's wonderful. I always tell people, one of the things that I really enjoy doing with this also is I think that journaling is really, really important, because when you start to journal, you start to write down things from spirit, things about your loved ones. They receive your messages too. I always try to encourage people to either write them notes, write them love notes, talk to them. I talk to my loved ones, my angels, my guides, what I call my spiritual support team up there. I talk to them daily, just like I'm talking to you guys right now. And I do ask for signs, and that's okay. That they know that as human beings, that's what we need. We need signs. We need that validation. And sometimes we need it more than once. Do they go to other dimensions? They go to a higher dimension, Susan. They do. We're down here in a 3D, this three-dimensional, I call it 3D world that we live in. We're very, very grounded. We live here, it's very linear. We live from past, present, into future. We have to function. We have to remain grounded. We have to make money in order to have food on the table, all of that. I see spirit at a higher frequency, like 5D, let's say. And we do, once we leave here and we shed this body that contains our soul, that contains our spirit, we do elevate to higher frequencies. So they work very hard to lower their frequency to let us know that they're with us. And we work very hard to elevate ours, okay? And that's how they're able to convey messages. So yeah, so I always tell people, let them know that you're thinking about them too. When you play their favorite music, or you get in your car and you turn the radio on and a song comes on that reminds you of them, that's because they're thinking about you too. Okay, so that's really important. That's really important. So you write them notes. I promise you that they receive that. Things like that, and just keep talking to them. So more than that, like I said, the purpose of validation, of validating that your loved ones, what about loved ones that committed suicide? And that also, I'm always really comforted in saying that when I do a reading for someone, that they take responsibility for the way that they crossed, and they show us that they were alone at the time and they crossed themselves over voluntarily. It's really comforting to know that they are with their loved ones on the other side, that passed of natural causes or an accident, that they're not alone on the other side. They're not in between worlds. They're not in a dark place. So thank you for that question. That's really important, because I think that a lot of people are concerned that when something like that happens and their loved ones, they have a loved one in their family who have crossed over, who've committed suicide, voluntarily crossed themselves over, that they are lost, on the other side, or that they're not reunited with their loved ones in the light. And I can promise you over and over and over again, I've had many of those, and they do let us know that they're with us. To raise your awareness. Suzanne, a really good way to raise awareness of your loved ones, like I said, keep talking to them, communicate with them, write them notes, play their favorite music, things like that. But for me, one of the key things that I have found that really helps is also meditation. It's when you meditate, when we meditate, we kind of disconnect from this world. We have to remain really grounded, but we disconnect from this 3D world. We do elevate, we open channels, we do elevate to higher realms, the higher realms. It's very important that if you meditate, Suzanne, you put yourself in a pillar of light, a protective pillar of light. You ground yourself first, and only the highest, most pure beings of light are allowed. Okay, and that helps to elevate your frequency, your vibration, and it helps your loved ones to come through as well. The same thing with children. What I have found doing sessions for families who have lost children, the very first thing, because one of the things that they do is they do talk to us in terms of, or when they come through in a session, they show me generations. If I sense an energy above somebody, it means it's a generation above. It could be a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, like that. If I feel an energy right next to somebody, it could be a sibling. It means somebody of their generation. It could be a sibling, a spouse, give or take a few years, but it is somebody of their generation. And if I feel an energy below them, it's that of a child that has passed, a child, either one of their children, or a niece, a nephew, or a friend's child, like that. The most important thing, and what I find reassuring in the structure of the session, when they want to connect with their children, it's never the child that comes through first. It's very rare when a child will come through, for me, very rare when a child will come through first by themselves. First, I've shown generations. The grandparents will come forward, parents or aunts and uncles. They form a circle, and then they'll bring the child in. And that's to comfort the parent that lost a child. That's to offer that.
Right, there you are.
Yeah, can you see me? Hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, that's to offer them comfort and reassurance. It's to offer them, letting them know that they're not alone on the other side, that they're not alone. And just turning this off. That they're not alone, and that they're surrounded by their loved ones, and they were received by their loved ones. And then we can go into the the session with the child. So that's also very, very important to me. Very important to the loved ones here, actually. I'm just wondering, does anybody have any questions? I'm just going to take a moment. If there are any questions, okay, we can keep going. Okay, so wanted to ask, you see, images, okay, someone wanted to ask if, oh, yes. So what I do is, during my session, it's whatever I see, hear, or feel. And they do use our senses. We have 5 senses, and we've all heard of the 6th sense. And it's more than a 6th sense. It's the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th sense. So they will use our vision. It's called clairvoyance. They'll use our hearing, clairaudience. It's what we hear, it's what we see, it's what we feel. If I feel an energy step forward and they kind of step into my energy, I can feel their personality, what they were like in life. Were they cold? You know, were they really warm and fuzzy? Was there something they want to finish with a family member that, you know, they'll make me feel like there's something that was left unsaid. Margaret wants to know if, I need to put my glasses on. Margaret wants to know, have I ever read a family? Yes. I do group readings for families very frequently. And what's really wonderful about that, Margaret, is that not only is it as a group, but if there were 7 members of family that come to see me, or more or less, each member of the family gets a message. It's very, very, the intention that I set forth with Spirit is that I want every member of the family to get a special, specific message to them. Do I do virtual readings? Yes, I do. I do phone readings. I do Skype or WhatsApp, FaceTime. This is a little new to me, Zoom with the group. It's a little new, but it's wonderful. What a great, you know, technology is just amazing. And yeah, so I do virtual readings as well, you know, phone readings. A lot of my clients are out of state and some of them are out of the country. And so many people will say, well, how can you do that? How does that work? Because I do have an office locally where I do see my clients, you know, one-on-one or as a group. Energy, there is no time, there is no space with energy. Somebody can be halfway around the world. It is not dependent on proximity. It's not dependent on being right there. So like I said, you know, it doesn't matter if somebody passed 50 years ago, if somebody passed 100 years ago, and you never even got to meet that person. The lives didn't overlap here in life. They're still part of your soul group, and they're still part of your support team to let you know that they're here to help you. Okay, so that's really important also. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, we can keep going for sure. So sometimes, you know, I was hoping that somebody would, you know, as we were doing this, I would get, you know, impressions. Like I said, you know, it's a little different for me. But one of the things that I kept getting through the day is it was actually a sibling. It was actually for somebody, it was a younger male, and I kept getting an R name. So if anybody, you know, if this connects to anyone, does everyone have guardian angels? Yes, we all have angels. We have our guardian angels. We have our archangels that are with us for protection, for healing, all of that. And we also have spirit guides and ascended masters. Our spirit guides are those that, from the moment that we're born, that follow us to the day that we pass, and they help and guide us. So if you picture yourselves and you're walking down the street. Oh, okay, I didn't see that, Suzanne. I'm sorry, you asked me a question earlier about your brother Russell. Okay, I'm so sorry, I totally did not see that. So what I do want to address that, because this was somebody's brother. In fact, I had written it down. Somebody's brother with the letter R. So I'm so sorry that I did not see that. If you said his name was Russell. Suzanne, Susanna, okay. Was there a military connection at all around your brother? Anybody in the military that he might be with, or was he affiliated in the military at all? And if not, we can just keep going, because this was
my dad was in the military, and
hi, Susanna.
Hi, but my brother was not in the military.
Okay.
No.
So had Dad passed also, Susanna?
Not at that time. My dad passed just 5 years ago.
Okay,
my brother,
no, but like right now, because this was something I was receiving this morning, and he was letting me know that he was either he was connected to somebody who was in the military, or that he was in the military. Okay, so his name was Russell? Russell? Yes. I'm so sorry, first of all, for your loss. I do want to say that. And the other part that I was getting, was there anything around an article of clothing? Anything at all? A jacket, a sweater, a sweatshirt, anything that you might have or that mom might have? Does that make any sense? Or that you might have from your dad? Does that make any sense?
Well, I'm just the timing. Russell died in 1980. That was my brother. My dad died in 2015, many years later.
So that's recently. Yeah, it felt like it was, pardon me?
No, I have a more recent death than that within the last couple months. But article of clothing for my brother, not an article of clothing, but he...
Feels like it was sudden around him too. Does that make sense? Around Russell?
No, he had a long cancer illness.
Okay. It feels like there's a sudden passing in your, like near you. Something that was not expected. Like 1 minute somebody's here, 1 minute they were gone. Does that make sense to you, Suzanne?
I can't place that one, Lynn. My mom
Okay.
had a long illness also and died recently. So
Recently, the last 2 to 3 months.
well, yeah, she was
Yeah.
92, but
Okay.
I took care of
Okay.
her a long time. So maybe it's another brother R. Maybe it's not me.
Was there does the name Raymond mean anything? Or one syllable, or Rob, like that?
Oh,
And,
well,
pardon me?
a significant ex relationship is Rob. But
Okay. That's
oh,
the name.
yeah,
That was one of the names I'm hearing around you. They just said tell her Rob, one syllable, like that.
oh, wow, huh.
Yeah.
Rob knew my brother. I'm wondering now if Rob passed away.
Pardon me?
I'm wondering now, Rob is an old boyfriend that I was with when my brother died. I'm wondering if Rob passed away also.
Okay, or he might be bringing attention to him. And the other connection that I was getting, and I don't know if this is your brother or your boy, I was seeing something with an outdoor vehicle, something like with either a car, not a car, either a car, but it felt like it was open window, convertible, or a motorcycle. So I don't know if any of that makes sense, or if that's for anybody else that's out there, by the way. It could be, because that was one of the connections that I was getting.
I can't place that. Maybe it's somebody else's R brother.
Yeah.
Are there other R brothers? Let's read the chat. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of deaths around me right now.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's fine. So I think this was your brother. He wanted to reference the fact that your dad was with him. And if you just had a recent passing or your mom, I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm so sorry. One of those feels like it was unexpected. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm kind of sensing your mom with another female as well. Okay, another female. She has a sister that was already there who received her like that. Does that make sense to you? Your mom's energy.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, Suzanne, I'm so sorry. It's just your mother's energy is so light around you. She's lovely. She's very warm, very loving. She's got a gorgeous smile. She's funny. She's got a great sense of humor. And I don't know if she played cards at all, but I feel like they're sitting at a table. Oh, that's beautiful. She's beautiful.
Well, that was, we're all pretty in our 20s, aren't we?
Well, yeah, she still is. But she is with the sister energy, and she's letting you know that she is with her sister as well. Okay, and I kind of feel like there might be another sister there, another sibling that she might be with. But they're definitely together. I'm sensing them in an open area outdoors. That makes sense. I'm seeing trees, water. Almost feels like I'm in Michigan, and it's the way I would describe up north Michigan. Almost like a little bit of a rustic view is what I'm being shown. Does that make sense to you? Was there southern connection in the country?
Well, I think the view you're saying is that this is a deep southern, like South Alabama is where they both are from.
Yeah.
And the countryside there is deep and green and rustic, like the area that you're talking about further north.
Yeah. So that's what they're kind of showing me. They're kind of comparing it to what I'm familiar with here in Michigan, where we live, but then we have up north Michigan, which is where people go fishing, hiking, hunting, things like that. But what she showed me is I'm saying, this is Michigan. She's going, we're not in Michigan. And she showed me the southern part of the country.
Yeah.
Down south as a connection. Yeah. Okay. And
it's not her actual sister, but it's a sister in spirit from the time she was very, very young.
It feels like a very protective energy around her, the sister energy.
Yes, and that sister, Mary Frances, has a beautiful place out in, tiny town in South Alabama with greenery like you're describing. So
they're unbelievably spiritual. They're very spiritual. And the readings are never about religion for me. Let me just say that. Angie. Yeah, they're never about religion. They're never about that. It's just about spirit. And when I see an icon like a rosary or something like that, or somebody that was involved in a church like that, and that's kind of what I'm picking up around these gals, if that makes sense.
That would fit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just them letting you know that's your brother, dad, you know, and he was showing me military affiliation. So yeah, to let you know that they're with you, that they're
Thank you so much.
Mom was received beautifully. She's beautiful. She's laughing. She's got a great smile, great sense of humor, and really grateful to you, Suzanne, for everything that you did for her. You understand that?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So
I left my job in another country and came to Alabama.
Yeah.
And so the difficult part now is don't have a job, don't have a home, and we're all in this sort of life quake that we're all living through. So
right. And that will resolve. Be patient around that, and it will resolve itself, because I feel like there were plans that you had to put on hold. So, and perhaps another move. She had 2 months. Just be patient. 2 months.
Okay. Thank you. That helps a lot. Thank you so much.
Of course. And again, my deepest condolences for your losses, Susanna.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And as we were kind of going on with this, somebody just asked a question, Angie. There was a younger male that was, and they kind of do link messages, so I want to make that clear. That if we're talking to somebody like Susanna, then they'll link on to somebody else. That one of the messages is, and if this connects with anyone, again, a younger male that had stepped forward for me, but there is a very distinct connection to a motorcycle. I'm not saying that this is how he passed or he crossed over on a motorcycle or motorcycle accident, but somebody who was very free-spirited, somebody who was just kind of lived life by his own rules. Okay, and it could be somebody's brother or somebody's young father like that. So if there's anything like that around anyone, if please let me know. Please let me know. And do we have any other questions while I think we have a few minutes. And
you have a few more, Lynn. You missed.
Okay. Hi, Angie. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Your husband had somebody like that, Angie. Was this a friend of his, a buddy, by any chance? Okay, that's what I thought. Angie, I think that he stepped forward really quickly because you asked, if we were getting signs from anyone else, and he's wanting to know again, just somebody who, if we can see Angie, if Angie can come on, that'd be great. Okay. Okay. If that would be great, Angie. Oh, there you are. Hi, Angie.
Oh, hi.
How are you?
Hi.
We're good. Okay, so even if this is a connection to your husband, not you, it's his way of letting you know that because you're connected to your husband, it's his way of letting you know, let your husband know that he's okay. I'm kind of picking up a J connection. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Letter J. Is there a Jeff or a Jim, like that quick name, one syllable?
It's one syllable, yes.
Yeah, is what he's showing me. Is that your husband's name by any chance?
No.
Okay, so he's just showing me a letter J, a connection to that. It does feel like he passed quickly. Does that make sense to you? Like,
yeah.
And he's taken a little bit of responsibility for the way he passed, Angie.
Yeah.
Does that make so he is letting you know that he's got a parent with him also. Is his mother in spirit? Do you know either his mom or his dad?
No, they're alive.
Okay, he's got somebody on his mother's side of the family, 100%, a female. So could be grandmother around him. But like I said, he's because you're connected to your husband and you can get a message to your husband. I kind of want to say that it feels like your husband was there for him in many different ways to help him out and to be there as a support system. Does that make sense to you? He's a really, really good friend.
Yeah.
And he's really grateful for that. But he feels like he was otherwise healthy, and he passed quickly, suddenly, but he is taking some responsibility for that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But it's like to let you know that that he's okay, January, we're in the month of April right now. April, May, June. Does your husband, you or your husband, have a birthday or anniversary coming up in the next couple months? May,
Yes.
June?
Yeah.
Is that your husband's birthday by any chance, or yours?
No, it's my birthday.
Your birthday. Okay. He's literally showing me birthday candles around May, June, like that. And a connection around, it's their way of letting you know that they continue to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries. Angelversary is the month that they pass. And it's his way of wishing you a happy birthday, of saying, I know you have a birthday. And even if he didn't know that you had when your birthday was in life, they know everything now, you know? So it's like his way of saying, even if we're in the middle of this shelter in place and all of that, he's wishing you a happy birthday. And it's also your loved ones wishing you a happy birthday in the next month to 2 months coming up, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank
Angie.
you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Here's a copy that that has know when you're going through a difficult time. They do know when we go through a difficult time, Shelley, absolutely, because that's when they start to give us the most messages, if that makes sense, the most signs, I guess I want to say. And that's the time to really reach out to them, to really reach out to your loved ones, to ask your angels. By the way, we were talking about angels, and I just want to say this very quickly about the angelic realm and angels, that our angels, they won't intervene in our lives unless we ask them to. We often hear stories of unseen hands pulling people out of a burning car to save their life, things like that. But you really need to, ask your spiritual support team to step into your life and ask for help and ask for guidance. And they do know when we're going through a difficult time. Absolutely. Part of that is the human experience that we need, things that we're supposed to learn from that. We hear about that all the time. Lessons we're supposed to learn and all of that, but they are here to help us facilitate that and navigate those difficult times 100%. Maria. Hi, Maria. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, you had a son that passed at 6 days old. Yeah, so as far as reincarnation, that's a really interesting one. People have often asked me, how do I know I'm going to see my loved ones when I leave here? What if they've been reincarnated? We have a great big soul up there. We have a soul, like a big bubble of all our lifetimes that have accumulated together. So when we are reincarnated, I'm not trying to impose my belief system on anyone, but when we are reincarnated, a piece of that comes back to Earth. So we're still able to see our loved ones. And please know, Maria, and again, I'm so sorry for your loss at such a young age. That, yes, absolutely. And that he was received by your loved ones there, 100%. Was there a heart condition around him, Maria? Was this cardiac?
Partially. Yes.
Okay.
Partially. He had a hole in his heart. He was a premature.
I'm so sorry, because I'm being shown, because I know, as with infants, it can be, certain different things, neurological or the lungs or anything. But immediately I'm getting something around a cardiac issue around your son. And I'm so sorry for that. And he's with a grandfather figure. Did he share a name with a grandfather energy? Does that make any sense?
Yes, possibly with my husband.
I know. Okay, so again, we have the husband energy also, because you're connected to your husband. So he's with that grandfather is what I'm being shown, because I'm being shown two names that are the same, or they share the first name is somebody's middle name, or it kind of crisscrosses, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And to let you know that he is with that energy. Okay. And as far as the heart is concerned, the cardiac issue that I was being shown around him, please know that that is no longer, he's not suffering from that anymore. Okay. And that they're totally healed. Maria, did you have a baby after him? Did you have another child?
I have two. Yes.
After
yes.
him.
Yes.
Is what I'm being shown. Is one of them a son energy, a boy?
Yes.
Yeah. He's very deeply connected to your son. He's connected to both of your kids. You have a son and a daughter. Is that what I'm seeing?
I do.
And he's letting you know he's really deeply connected to your children, and he's always a part. So whether they come back, whether his soul, part of his soul came back and you were children, you know, there's never a lost child. Please know that. Please know that. But he is still deeply, deeply connected. And I'm not sure how old, do you have a 6-year-old in the mix?
No, I
Oh.
have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When one of your kids were younger, I kind of feel like they communicated with him. And I don't know if, because children at the age of like 5, 6 years old, around that age, they see spirit, they talk to spirit, they're incredibly intuitive, and and they communicate. So I don't know if either of your kids ever said anything. Both of your children feel wonderful. They feel great. One of them feels unbelievably creative, very creative, very outgoing, if that makes sense. And the other one, they're very different, but they're wonderful. And he's a part of their lives. So I thank you for that. Thank you for, you know, for stepping forward. And he's good. He is good. Yeah. And he's with the,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Maria.
Okay.
Do babies see loved ones that pass?
Yeah, so the generation, especially this generation is coming in right now. Thank you for pointing that out, Shelley. This generation that's coming in right now, a very, very enlightened group of children. And as a rule, most children do see and hear spirit and communicate with spirit at an early age, from the moment they can speak till around the age of 5, 6 years old, when they start school and the physical world kind of takes over. But very often they will point to something, you know, or you'll see, if it's an infant, you'll see a baby, their eyes will kind of follow something that you can't see. If you take pictures of children, orbs will appear, light orbs, and that spirit around them, watching over them. Or they'll say, oh, I saw Grandpa today. I played with Grandpa. I played with Grandma. It's because they do see spirit. So yes, it's not unusual, and it's nothing to be afraid of. And I have worked with parents with children that that have had this experience. And I always say, you know, just encourage it. Don't let them be afraid. And most of the time they're not afraid, but it's a very normal thing to have happen. It's very normal. Yes. So that's a great question too. That's a great question.
Okay,
Yes,
I think
thank
that's it. I went through the chat. I don't see any other questions. So
Yeah.
again, thanks, Lynn, so much. Thanks all of you for coming to.
Thank you so much. And I know that you guys, and I appreciate it. You left the Venmo information, so I do appreciate that so much. And it was just a pleasure. I had the best time, Shelley, and I'm very, very grateful to all of you. So thank you.